What's up, traders? Anthony Crudele here, and thank you for tuning in to the Futures Radio Show podcast. Do you trade crypto futures, specifically micro Ether or micro Bitcoin? I know that many of you do trade these products like I do, and many of you have been asking, when will we see options on these micro products? Well, CME Group is now set to launch micro-sized Bitcoin and Ether options. In today's show, my guest is Tim McCourt, Global Head of Equity and FX products at CME Group. And we are going to discuss these new micro options, and we will also talk a little bit about Micro Nasdaq, Micro S&P, and the Micro Russell. This podcast is brought to you by CME Group. Whatever the obstacles, CME Group provides the tools that global market participants need to manage risk and capture opportunities with 24-hour access to futures, options, cash, and OTC products across all major asset classes. You can drive your trading strategy forward with confidence and precision. CME Group is where risk meets opportunity. Now, let's bring in my friend, Tim McCourt.
Thanks, Anthony. How's it going?
Good, man. Great to have you back. Once again, new products are coming out. And I said last time we talked about the launch of Micro Ether futures, which wasn't too long ago. Tim, how long ago actually was that?
It was back in December. So it was at December 6th, on that Monday.
Right. And I think we did talk one time between then, but the last time we talked about crypto futures, and I said to you, I think that Micro Ether is going to be huge. You remember that?
Absolutely. And you were right. You nailed it.
I mean, I'm using this product all the time. I know several of my friends are using it as well. And I looked at some of the notes that CME had put out, and I think it's 1 million micro Ether futures already traded.
That's right. I mean, in just a few short months since December, over 1 million micro Ether futures contracts have traded at CME, which is astounding. I think, we had talked about it on previous shows. Ether not only has its unique following, there are people that almost exclusively trade Ether or are following projects tied to the Ethereum protocols. But when you also look at the adoption of other cryptos at CME, whether it's micro Bitcoin or the older siblings, the 5x Bitcoin or the 50x Ether future, I think micro Ether being the fourth future contract offered, people were already connected. They were already ready to trade crypto at CME. So the unique interest that's Ether specific, plus the fact that people are already trading crypto at CME, I think were both factors on why we hit that milestone so quickly and crossed 1 million contracts at about the 2-month mark, I think, for micro Ether.
Yeah, and that's really quick. I mean, I don't even think, did you guys actually anticipate that much volume this soon?
I didn't, to be honest. I mean, I knew it would be successful, but I think, being this successful, trading more than 20,000 contracts per day, certainly exceeds my expectations, and it's been great to see. And we'll continue to work with clients to get more people in it, because it's also only early days for micro Ether. So it's like, where do we go from here? It's going to be a lot of fun and a lot of excitement for the team to work on.
It's so early for crypto. And one of the questions a lot of people ask me about is, Anthony, now that they have these two Ether products, right? So we have the micro Ether, which is 1/10 the size of 1 ETH. And then you have the ETH futures, which are 50 ETH. And just because I have you here, I want to ask you this. Is it ever ruled out that there will be almost a mid-sized contract?
It's a good question. I think what's interesting about the Ether futures is when we first announced that back in, was it February of 2020, Ether was $400, right? So
Exactly.
We already thought it was going to be small enough. We thought 50x was the right size. And then just the price of Ether exploded over the last few months thereafter, or the few months after announcement. And I think there could be, right, a little bit of a Goldilocks in the middle, maybe contract that might work. But we'll listen to clients and think they're happy with the 50x and the 0.1x contract that we have now. But certainly that's a 500-to-1 ratio between the micro and its older sibling for Ether. So that is a wide range. So I think if we continue to see other price movement, we'll really have to keep on engaging with customers to make sure that 50x makes sense. Do we need a 1x or do we need another multiplier for Ether? Your listeners and viewers aren't shy about telling us what they need. So they should definitely keep the suggestions coming in. We'll see what makes sense.
And you guys do an absolutely fantastic job at listening. And you and I have talked about that. And you talked about customers, and you're going to wait to hear what customer demand is. So here we're talking about these micro-sized options for Ether and Bitcoin. and I read the press release, and right out of the gates, it says Genesis Global Trading, Cumberland, DRW, Acuna Capital is all looking forward to providing liquidity to CME Group options on micro Bitcoin and micro Ether futures contracts on day one. Pretty big names there coming out and saying we're going to be there on day one. So the demand was there, and you guys answered it.
That's right. It's been a secret to our success is listening to customers. It's a great press release. We're always excited when we have such, bellwether names supporting us in our press releases with product announcements. And I think that really speaks to the enthusiasm around crypto, and everyone understands that demand function. Customers want this, individual traders want this. And when we look at the micro-sized contract, we've seen this across other asset classes. It's not just for your individual trader, especially when you're looking at crypto and how large these futures contracts have become. Everyone's benefiting from the smaller size, whether you're an institution, a crypto native trading firm, a hedge fund. Everyone's kind of can't get enough of the micro-sized contracts because, especially for crypto, it's a more manageable risk. We do have we have the original Bitcoin options on the 5X futures contract. They've had much more muted success, but I think the smaller sized option is going to be much more attractive to people when you think also about the strike permutations and the strike range that people are trading in crypto, and looking at some of the other offshore or non-US unregulated platforms that we know a lot of participants are trading in. This will help it line up to the way people are already trading crypto or already trading crypto options. And now they could do it at the regulated futures option at CME, which I think people are excited about.
Absolutely. Look at the volatility we're seeing right now in the indexes. Look at the volatility we're seeing in oil, commodities, gold. If you don't have these micro products, it's hard for a lot of regular traders to be able to manage risk, to be able to even participate in some of these moves. And this just adds another layer of product for traders to be able to go out there and trade it. The one question I have about this is that why now? We talked about how quickly we've already hit 1 million contracts. And I know from talking to you in the past, I remember asking you, when are we going to get options on some of these other products? And it really took a good period of time with micro Ether and, of course, micro Bitcoin. We're lumping that in as well. We're already getting those options contracts on a very new contract. I'm actually going to pull up this slide here to show the growth. And I understand that it's there, but do you have concern that maybe there won't be a ton of participants right out of the gates? I know we talked about the customers that are already going to be there, but what gives you the confidence to say this is the time now?
Yeah, it's a great question. So when we look at this chart, you can certainly see the addition of micro Bitcoin in Q2 of 2021 and the addition of micro Ether in Q4 of last year certainly accelerated the volume growth and the adoption. By the light blue chart for micro Bitcoin, the yellow bar chart for micro Ether, you're starting to really see that exponential growth. We're doing 20,000 plus in each of the micro cryptos today. We're doing about 10,000 in the regular BTC and almost 10,000 in the regular Ether ETH futures as well. So people just can't get enough of the crypto products at CME. They're using it in their portfolios more and more, and you have more and more customers coming online, whether they're institutions or individuals. They're getting over that hump, so to speak, and taking those final leaps to trading crypto and using CME as the regulated venue. More and more brokers are offering products. More and more clearing members are clearing the products. So the ecosystem is really coming together. So when we look at this chart, it's certainly a great backdrop to introduce new products. But we also know, as everyone here knows, options products can be a little bit more challenging to bring to market just because you have to get liquidity on all of the different strikes, all of the different maturities. So we're optimistic and we're hopeful. We think it's going to be successful, but we're obviously working with the market to make sure all those customers can and do show up on day one. As you mentioned, the market makers that are quoted, they're ready. We're getting really strong demand from our retail partners, the retail platforms, the individual traders. So I think everyone's excited about it, but we have our work to do to make sure that on March 28th, when we launch the micro crypto options, that everyone's there, everyone's ready, and they can continue to enjoy the success of managing their risk or using CME products to access the crypto market.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, it's great to have the market makers there, but how do we know that the traders are going to be there? Because they have to make markets for people to participate. The volume chart shows that there are a lot of people actively trading it. And I do think because of the time that we're in right now with volatility across the board, that and I'm not on your side, I don't see everything that you see. I think it is a good time to bring a product like this out there because everybody is looking for better ways to be able to manage their risk. Everybody is looking for better ways to execute their strategy. So having more products out there when we're really busy is a great time to launch, in my opinion, because you now have another tool at your disposal to say, hey, maybe I'll take a look at using the options market for my strategy. I want to get into some of the details of them. Uh, when are they expiring? I read some about it's going to be weeklies. I think it was Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I think, some of these things are really important. And talk to us about specifically the sizing of these contracts as well.
Absolutely. So when we look at the micro Bitcoin and micro Ether options on futures, both Bitcoin and Ether the underlying of the option will be one micro future. So that means it's 1/10 of one Bitcoin, 1/10 of one Ether in terms of the contract sizing. What's interesting is this also we're introducing, Anthony, as you mentioned, the weekly varietals or the weekly flavors of options on crypto. So this is new, and we're doing this with micro. So we will have one Monday, one Wednesday expiration, and then we'll have 4 Friday expirations. So we'll have a bit of a mix and match of the Monday, Wednesday, and Friday weeklies. And then we will have 2 of the month-end Fridays that line up with the futures expiration as well. So keep in mind, these are options on futures. So if you are trading those Monday, Wednesday, or weekly Fridays, the option will exercise into the future itself. So you will take or make delivery of that underlying micro futures on Bitcoin or Ether. And then in terms of the tick size, which is always important, Bitcoin will tick in $5 increments. Ether will tick in 0.5 or $0.5 increments. The expiration will be against a fixing. That'll be the half-hour VWAP of the futures into 11 a.m. Eastern. So it kind of comports with that, not the exact same window as the Bitcoin and Ether reference rate, but again, that most volume activity in crypto is around that 10 to 11 Eastern window that kind of is into the 4 p.m. London close. So it'll all go around that kind of most popular trading hour of crypto. So you'll have that moneyness determination at 11 a.m. Eastern, and then you'll take or make delivery of the future. We're really excited about it, where it's not only the introduction of Ether options to the marketplace at CME, it's the smaller size Bitcoin option, which we know everyone's wanted, and you're getting weeklies on top of that. So it's really marrying that crypto enthusiasm with that demand for shorter dated options that everyone's been wanting over the last few years. And I think it's going to be successful. I hope it's successful. But this is a really great tool for the market. To your point, in these type of markets, it's going to be a great risk management tool and a great way to deploy new trading strategies or access to market.
I want to talk a little bit about the margins.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be effectively one micro future, so it's a good way to think about it. Now, just keep in mind with options, it can be a little bit different because you are paying for that premium. So it is actually an exchange of premium and there's margin thereafter. And so yes, but it's in terms of the general size, it'll feel like one future. That's the way it's designed to work. Obviously, there's lots of great resources for margin on CMEgroup.com. Would always encourage people to check there or check with their broker. But yeah, in terms of just heuristically thinking about it, one option equals one future in terms of the delivery.
Yeah, I'm actually just going to pull up a page on CME's site because I'm not an options trader. I dabble a little bit with them, but I am definitely not someone who claims to be a professional options trader. I'm definitely on the future side, but I do use these options products when they make sense for me. I'm really more of a buy a put, buy a call type guy. But I think to learn more about options, it's important to understand that. And that's why I asked that question about the margins. And you could just go to CME Group's website to learn more about options on here. They have courses and stuff on there that just give you some basic understandings of them. And I think that's just extremely important. And of course, like you mentioned, talk with your broker about this stuff to make sure you know what you're getting into when you're buying or selling these options contracts. It's extremely important. Now, Tim, we're going to get to the Micro Nasdaq, S&P, Russell, Dow in here just a minute. But before we get to that, is there anything we miss? Is there anything else you want to tell the traders out there about these newly about to be launched on March 28th, Micro Ether and Micro Bitcoin options?
I think we covered a lot of the salient points. Just really encourage people to go to cmegroup.com to learn more. The URL you can go to is cmegroup.com/micro crypto options. That's a great resource. We're also going to be adding some videos over the coming week that help describe and help you learn and understand the salient option features, whether it's the moneyness determination, how to handle the expiration, the listing cycle, the strike rates, all great resources. So I definitely check out that page over the coming weeks as you get ready for launch on March 28th. And just, check it out. I think it's something that is continuing to grow at CME. If you're thinking about trading crypto, CME is a great way to do it, whether it's the futures, the micro futures, and the soon to be micro options. Just remind everyone that CME is a regulated venue, trusted counterparty, and it's a great way for you to get involved in crypto if you're not already, and just add them to your portfolio alongside all the other great products we have here at CME.
That's a great point. I'm glad you brought it up because I talked with a lot of my trader friends about it. Number one, it's really the only place in the US where you can get short if you want to get short crypto. If you own spot, it's the best place as a trusted exchange. If many of you out there are futures traders like myself, you already have the account. If you own some spot, you could go and hedge it using these micro options now and these micro futures. And you're a little more confident. I wouldn't say a little, I would say a lot more confident because you're doing with CME Group than you are doing with some of these other exchanges that have just come up and really are just almost new to the space, So having CME getting on board with crypto futures and options, I think is awesome. Now, we're going to take a quick break. So traders, hang tight. We're going to be back in 15 seconds.
We empower those who act. Those who see the correlation between upswings and downswings. Those who manage risk by meeting each obstacle with a perfectly executed strategy, a measured approach, the right tools, driving accuracy. CME Group, where risk meets opportunity.
All right, everybody, we are back. Micro Nasdaq. I got to tell you, this product has become, it's crazy I'm even saying this, and I've talked about this a little bit with you, but it's become my most popular product. I'm trading it more than any other product because this year, to me, the Nasdaq is really, it's really the story in a lot of ways. The way that it's leading the market to the downside, just the volatility in it. S&P, Russell, Dow all have their own stories, but I think it's very important for you as a trader to know, what market is really leading a move or a market that has really the volatility to trade your strategy. And right now, the Micro Nasdaq has just been a beast. And I was looking at some of these stats, and it's crazy. Right now, volume-wise, it's well above the S&P almost every single day now. And Tim, did you ever think that was going to happen?
No, I mean, I did, looking at kind of conventional wisdom from the traditional E-Mini market, S&P 500 E-Mini typically leads the pack with almost half the volume. But to your point, Nasdaq, I think almost a year ago or February of 2021, we saw Nasdaq overtake S&P in terms of daily volume, and it's kind of never looked back on the micro front. Where we're doing about 1.75 million contracts per day in the Micro Nasdaq versus about 1.45, I want to say, in the Micro S&P, and that's something where the Micro Nasdaq is up 85% in terms of volume versus last year. That's astounding. 2021 was a pretty big year in terms of volume for micros, and to have Micro Nasdaq up 85%. The S&P is doing pretty well, not too shabby, up 65% versus last year. But this really echoes the theme we've been talking about at CME, that index choice matters. And I think, Anthony, that's what you were talking about when looking at the Nasdaq. These indices have fundamentally different personalities in the market, is the way I like to describe it. They have different compositions, different weights by the stocks that make up these indices. They represent different sectors, large cap, small cap, blue chips, right? So it's really presenting you with these indices behave differently. They present lots of trading opportunities. And I think Nasdaq is just really speaking to the backdrop that we're seeing that started in 2020. We saw a lot of tech stocks. Now you're seeing some of that, retracement happening. There's just different ways these stocks and therefore the indices are behaving, which is really interesting for traders to trade around. And that's exciting. And the Dow, right? I mean, the Dow has been around forever, right, as an index. And even the Dow, which I think a lot of people often forget about, it's like the one of the more popular contracts this year in terms of growth. The Dow is up, it's almost 300,000 micro Dow contracts trading per day, which is pretty big. That's up almost 100% versus last year. So on percentage basis, the Dow is growing more than Nasdaq, but in terms of actual total volume, the Micro Nasdaq remains the undisputed king here amongst the micro E-minis.
Yeah, I pulled up this graph here, Tim. Just go over really quickly what we're seeing here in this graph.
Yeah, what we're looking here is just basically the 4 micro E-Mini futures contracts at CME by quarter. We launched these back in May of 2019, where on that day, these were the most successful product launched in CME's history and remain kind of holding that pole position. But you can just see the explosive growth these contracts have really enjoyed starting in Q1 of 2020, where it seems like a lifetime ago. But if you remember in January and February of 2020, even before the work from home era really started, the markets were really volatile back then. We saw a real uptick in volatility in early Q1 of 2020 and haven't looked back. And even though volatility, notwithstanding the last few weeks, has subsided somewhat late 2021, early 2022, you're seeing volume growth continue to almost grow exponentially here in these micros. And you're really seeing when you look here at the blue box, which is the Nasdaq, that's getting proportionately bigger and bigger portion of that total bar stack that we're looking at on this chart. And it's been great to see. This is an enormously beneficial tool to all traders, whether you're scaling up or scaling down your positions, whether you're just dabbling in the market as a first-time trader or you're a seasoned trader. This is a great way for people to augment their trading strategies and stay in the market longer. Just with respect to trading smaller contracts, that's not as much use of capital in your account, and you can participate in more of the market. You can trade other contracts at CME. You can trade some stocks. You can trade whatever you want, because now you don't necessarily need to put all of that money into one E-Mini. You've got lots of ways to trade micros, as this graph shows you.
No, exactly. And you said something that's extremely important. I touched on it just for a second. Choosing your index matters. I am an index trader. I started in the S&P. I traded it for majority of my career. I talked years ago how I said, I just can't trade the Nasdaq. It's not for me. And that's why I said, I can't even believe I'm saying this. It's my favorite product right now. And what I like about seeing a chart like that is, number one, obviously seeing the growth of the micros, I think is great for all futures traders because the liquidity is there and you're just seeing them really just taken on by not just even the newer traders, the smaller traders, the bigger traders. I mean, I could trade the big Nasdaq myself, but I trade the micros because when you have volatility, you could scale in, you can scale out. You don't need to be as price sensitive. And the first point I wanted to make when I was saying why choosing the Nasdaq is when you get the leader of the indices, and I look back to when Russell led that rally, remember November to remember? Yeah. I was trading the Russell. And now the Nasdaq is the one that's leading to the downside. It's just really leading a lot of these moves. Those moves get extended and you see that the volume is growing there because that's where that leadership role takes place. And I just think it's important if you're an index trader to keep an eye on that stuff. And it's just great to see how much the micros have grown. And like you said, the Dow, that's the one that just kind of blows my mind the most because when we're all in conversations, we talk with everybody, our older friends, maybe they always say, oh, did you see the market was up or down 800 today? Everybody refers to the Dow, but not a ton of traders that I know really trade it, but that's changing.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially it's funny, I'm smiling because that's something we always hear about the Dow. It's such the bellwether in terms of the way people cover the market, but traders almost like trading the other indices because I think it's just it's not the same. The index prices themselves are a little bit easier to manage. There's maybe more action in the individual stocks. I just think there's different ecosystems around, S&P and Nasdaq. But yeah, I mean, Dow is, again, I think that's a 130-year-old plus index. It's a long-standing benchmark product at CME. So I'm kind of glad to see that Dow's having its, day in the sun again, as people remember that, you can also trade the Dow. It's not just an investment product. It's not just a proxy blue chip portfolio, but in these type of markets, it's going to give you different trading strategies to deploy than the Nasdaq and S&P, and it has its own kind of market structure and personality, and people are really starting to pay attention. And I think it's also important outside the U.S. The Dow is often more popular outside the U.S. as the U.S. proxy, the U.S. benchmark, and people are always interested in it. So it's great to see that the Dow and the Russell are also growing, and it's not just an S&P and Nasdaq story.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think this just proves how much the micros have impacted trading. It's just, in my opinion, how much they've impacted the traders being able to trade these products. I think you probably are seeing, I don't know these stats, maybe you could tell us, but just so many people that maybe have been actively trading other products within CME now going to trade some of these products as well, because I have to assume that the growth is not just coming from new people. I think it's a lot of other people trading other products that have been around for a while and now look at the micros, especially when we get volatility, and say, I like this product. I'm going to go in and trade it.
No, absolutely. And, I think what's interesting is when we look at the stats and the retail growth we're seeing at CME, you are seeing that mix of experienced, long-standing customers of the exchange taking that step and trading micros. And I think for some, it's because they want to experiment in new asset classes. They want to grow and they want to learn and trade and do new strategies. So maybe you have an equity trader this week is maybe going to look at micro crude with what's going on and then use that as a way to say, maybe I'll try this out. Or if I try micro FX or micro metals, that's something that we're really proud of. I think the exchange is not only the micro E-Minis, but the micro complex has grown and is so successful. Exactly. We now have micro equities, micro rates, micro crude, we have micro metals, we have even micro treasury contracts that we were also talking about. Now we have micro crypto options and micro crypto futures. It's something that's really just providing more product choice to more of the market, which is just increasing the risk management that's happening. And it's been super interesting to watch. And I think these type of markets with that type of product choice on the shelf, there's really lots of things for people to use to either hedge their portfolios or try new things out. And just encourage people to keep on doing that and learn more and try new things with micros.
Absolutely. I mean, just a massive impact on the trading community with micros. Now, Tim, we're going to finish off where we started off and just give everybody the plug to where they can go to learn more about micro Bitcoin and micro Ether options. Obviously, I'm going to drop the link in the chat as well, but tell everybody where they should go to learn more about this product, which is being launched March 28th.
Absolutely. So we're excited as you head into the launch on March 28th. Definitely go to cmegroup.com/micro crypto options. It's the best place to stay up to date. We're going to be adding content to this page. You can sign up for further updates. And this is a great resource. Lots of contract specs, lots of educational videos on crypto and options. So this would be a great place to go. And as always, you can go to cmegroup.com and check out everything else. Anthony, you're showing people some of the options, tools, and learnings before. It's a great resource. And if you're not checking out cmegroup.com already, I would certainly go there as your first stop as looking to learn more about these products and all the other great things that CME has to offer.
What is something I say all the time, everybody? Learn about the products before you trade them. If you don't know what you're trading, then how could you even develop a strategy around them? See what tools are out there. See what options and micros are available in the products that you're building strategies around. That's why we do these shows, Tim. And I can't thank you enough for taking the time to educate myself and all the listeners out there on what these products are and what's coming new at CME Group. Also, let everybody know where they can maybe follow you with, whether it's on Twitter. I know everyone knows about CME Group on Twitter, but maybe yourself or anywhere that maybe they could see more of what you're doing.
Yeah, certainly follow CME Group at CME Group is the handle there. If you any questions for me or the team, you can certainly follow me at Tim McCourt CME. Always happy to engage with customers and market participants, answer questions, and really look forward to seeing how everyone embraces micro crypto options later this month.
Yeah, everybody, highly recommend following Tim and everything that he's putting out there. Make sure you go to all CME Group sites to once again learn more about the products you are trading. You could also hit me up on DM or send me an email, and I'll make sure I get those to Tim. Tim, thank you so much again for coming on the show.
My pleasure, Anthony. Always a good time chatting with you.
Thank you for listening to Futures Radio Show. If you enjoyed the show, please leave a 5-star review on iTunes. Never miss an episode. Go to anthonycrudele.com and get on our email list for show notifications and for free content that is exclusively for subscribers. Also on anthonycrudele.com, you will find tons of videos and education on trading futures, options, and crypto. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Opinions expressed are solely my own and my guests, and they do not express the views or opinions of my sponsors. Futures Radio Show is produced by Crudele Productions.